There's a lot of things that we've been told about the continent of Africa. And as an American, I can say that majority of it is wrong. So there are many misconceptions that we have about traveling, moving, or doing business on the continent. Specifically in South Africa, there are a lot of misconceptions. And so I want to dispel them in this video. 5 things, and I may give you a couple of bonuses if you stay towards the end. And if you're catching the replay, you'll get them anyway. You want to watch until the end to get a couple of bonuses, right? So welcome to the live stream. I'm Ashley. On this feed, Ashley in Africa, we talk about traveling, moving, and doing business around the continent of Africa. A little bit about me. I left the US back in 2020 and decided to pursue a better life on the continent of Africa. And I had no idea what I was in store for. I was blown away by the beauty, embraced by the people, and healed by the land. And so much more came from me taking a chance on myself. And I am a walking testimony that you can do it too, right? I'm not special, but what I have been able to do is essentially, create a bridge and create an opportunity to share my experience with people that have an interest in doing business. Hi, Shar. Welcome. Hey, cousin. I was looking for your channel for your live about moving your family to Africa. Can it be found on your channel? Yep, on my YouTube. So Ashley in Africa, it's the last video that I actually posted. So it's the live that I did yesterday, but I've got over 400 videos currently on YouTube. Same Ashley in Africa if you want to catch that content, and I recommend it. There's tons of free value over there on YouTube, right? But on this video, I want to tell you about the misconceptions because I feel like there are so many of you that are commenting that want to come to the Travel Move Do Business virtual conference for South Africa, but something is keeping you, right? And 9 times out of 10, it's not your fault. The media has created a picture of South Africa that just simply isn't true. And I want to dispel some of those myths. Number 1, it's not safe. Now, South Africa is the most developed country on the continent of Africa, and the infrastructure here, the lifestyle here is robust. South Africa is also home to the richest square mile on the continent of Africa. I actually live within that square mile, and it is called Sandton, right? So I'd say, what does that look like, right? In comparison to the US, maybe, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, those would be the richest square miles. Silicon Valley, probably the richest square mile in the US, right? Where you've got industry, you've got businesses, and you've got entrepreneurs. I am not here to dispel the statistics around crime because yes, there is crime just like there would be in any metropolitan city. However, how can the richest square mile of the most populated continent on earth also be the most dangerous, right? I negate that, right? I've lived here for 2 years and I have never physically seen crime and can count maybe on one hand the people in my community that have been victims of crimes, right? So crime in a country like South Africa, unfortunately, is very socioeconomic based. Not all, right? But when you live in a certain lifestyle, you basically can mitigate yourself from risk. Now, coming from an environment in Atlanta, Georgia, I lived in one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in the state of Georgia, and I was not immune to crime. My neighbors were not immune to crime. I was not immune to crime. I was a victim of crime. Many of my family members, victims of crime in the US. And when we're comparing, there just isn't any comparison, right? Is there crime? Yes. A lot of the crime that exists are, things like theft and robbery. But I do not worry about, many of the things that we worry about when it relates to crime. In fact, if someone decides that they want to rob you, they also won't necessarily take your life, right? And I was speaking with someone today who was carjacked in Atlanta, Georgia, and shop, right? Again, I'm not speaking for people in South Africa because I know that these things do happen, but far drastically less than they happen in the US. And this person is a multimillionaire, right? And so you can enclose yourself, you can protect yourself from these different types of crimes based on where you live and where you play. And I'd say that that is something that is, an advantage, right? It is a privilege and it must be taken very seriously. But when we're looking at crime, it is not the most dangerous place on earth in the way in which it is communicated. And, that's just true, right? A lot of the people that are communicating about crime come from a different socioeconomic class, right? And I honor their experience. It's just not my experience. So living here for 2 years, having friends that have lived here for 10 years, live in beautiful estates, drive big cars, Bentley trucks, Porsche, Lamborghini trucks, people with a certain level of wealth do not expose themselves to risk in that way. And I will say that overall, life is good and I've never felt safer. The things that I do in South Africa, I would never do in the US. Going to outdoor concerts, walking to the mall, spending time at the mall in an outdoor space. You cannot go into a mall in Atlanta, Georgia without walking through a metal detector or hearing gunshots, right? This is the truth. This is facts. The level of anxiety that people are operating with in the US and some of the other Western cities is far exceeding and abundant of what is possible here in South Africa. All right, so that's a big myth that I wanted to just negate because it's one that is seen everywhere. I'm constantly asked about it. But 50,000 Black women went missing last year in America. The numbers are staggering this year. I see it every day when I'm scrolling through stories of my friends that live in Georgia, missing women of all calibers, from all different backgrounds, from all different socioeconomic positions. It's unacceptable. Suicide is the number 2 killer of children. Number 1 is gun violence, right? Those numbers are not happening here in South Africa. And that's just the facts, okay? So that's number 1, safety. It's not safe. Well, let's talk about where you live and the crime that exists in your city, your state, your country. It's a completely different experience, and people that have left the US dread returning, whether it's for returning home from their travel or returning back because they have to also visit family. It's just not happening. And it's a myth that needs to completely be dispelled. Number 2, right? It's not developed. I just said I live in the richest square mile of the most biggest, richest continent in the world, which is Africa, right? It is developed. And in fact, it is more developed than the infrastructure is more developed than in many places in the US, right? You're not seeing bridges collapse. Yes, there have been some infrastructure issues, right, in certain parts of the city. And this is just, based on the economic divide, which is absolutely there here. But the economic opportunities are so rich that countries are coming here. American banks are already here in South Africa. American corporations are already here in South Africa. There are over 600 American corporations here in South Africa. The corporations are here, but for some reason they want to convince you that it's too dangerous to come, right? So I'll just say that. Second from the sun, healthcare, we're definitely going to get into that. But it is developed. And in fact, it is the most developed country in the continent of Africa, right? And it's beautiful. It is a beautiful life. A lot of people will still ask me, oh, are you seeing lions? And listen, I order my groceries online. I have African custom-made products delivered to my home. I don't drive, right? I'm chauffeured around. I went to work today. I work out of WeWork. WeWork in Johannesburg, South Africa is the nicest WeWork I've ever seen globally. Now, I haven't been to any Asia WeWorks, but I've been to New York WeWorks, Dallas, Austin, Atlanta, Chicago, Cali. I've never seen a nicer WeWork in the US versus the one that I work out of here. All right, so development by far exceeds the development that is dilapidated in the US. That's number 2, right? So number 1, it's not safe. That's just completely not true. Number 2, it's not developed. That's also a complete false misconception. Number 3, I see you guys all asking about healthcare, right? So I do trust the healthcare. In fact, I trust the healthcare more in South Africa than I do in the US. Period, right? There are so many issues with being Black, a woman, a man, white, whatever. People go broke going to the hospital. People are dying because they refuse to go to the hospital, because they can't afford basic health care, because the $700 they pay for insurance for their family still requires a $5,000 deductible for them to be seen properly, right? So my daughter was playing on the playground. She is very athletic and also very much of a risk taker. And she jumped from the swing. I thought she broke her arm, right? I lost it, right? But I was like, okay, let me take her to the ER. I took her to the emergency room. She got x-rays. She even was prescribed some medicine for pain, but nothing happened. She didn't break her arm. We went to the emergency room and my bill was $75 with x-rays. Cash, no insurance. We just went to the dentist a couple of days ago, right? Last week, Thursday. Her and I got cleanings. No healthcare, cash, $100 for her and I to get our biannual teeth cleanings. And we don't wait. We're in and out. Our doctors talk to us. We have their personal phone number. And that's that. The medical system here actually cures people. It does not benefit from keeping them sick, because a developing country knows that in order to continue to develop, you need healthy citizens. America is no longer developing. It is a declining empire, right? That has found a way to benefit from the illness of its citizens. Okay? Leoria says, is it a similar sick care model as the US? Nope. Oh, I just answered that question, right? So, yes, people will go bankrupt in the US. I've seen it. I have a friend, a GoFundMe for cancer relief, right? That is unheard of. The US has some of the sickest people in the world, the most medicated population. Right? And it is not our fault that we are afraid of healthcare outside of the US. This is intentional. This is all intentional, right? That fear that they influence us with is intentional to keep us in the system that drives their economy. But I will tell you that since being out, I cannot remember the last time I was sick, right? I sent my daughter to the doctor today. She wasn't feeling well. She had a really bad headache. She had blood work done, spoke to the doctor. They said she may have the flu, right? $35 for her to go see a doctor today. Medication was another $6. A total of $37 for her to see a doctor and get medication. Cash, no health care. They call it medical aid, right? Will I get medical aid eventually? Yeah, absolutely. But after paying thousands, tens, 20, 30, 50,000 in medical insurance, and looking at the amount of times I get sick, for me, it's not necessarily necessary today, but yes, it's definitely something I will do as I age and get older. But for now, I cash pay for my medical care, and I've never felt healthier, right? Many of you guys say I'm aging backwards, but it's just, I'd rather spend money on my working out, my diet. I eat fresh fruits and vegetables daily. I drink amazing amounts of water. I cook 90% of my meals, and even going out to restaurants, you're not experiencing the same level of, when you are inflamed, right? Just the mucus in the food, just the genetically modified foods, the processed foods. These are not things that I am doing, right? These are not foods that I'm consuming. My copay was $50 and I received the bill for $127 for an annual checkup. An annual checkup. Then I went to my GP, $45. Blood work, all of that, annual $45, right? So, cousin, and if something happens and you're not feeling well, you go back to the doctor and they don't charge you again. Okay? Yes, Ledrix. She's purchased her ticket for the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference. It is going to be valuable, right? It is going to be huge. Another thing that I want to dispel, right? People are, really concerned. It's hard to get citizenship, all right? Americans, we have a very interesting relationship with citizenship because they have weaponized citizenship and foreigners and migration in our country. And it is something that has made us quite xenophobic in the last decade or so. But if we recognize America has always been made up of foreigners, no one except for the indigenous people of America are indigenous to America. We all have lineage and DNA from outside of that country. So I digress. But you do not need to live abroad as a citizen of another country. Number one, as an American, bye cousin, thank you so much for coming and joining the live. Thank you, I appreciate your love and your constant support. But as an American currently, we can travel the world with our blue passport and stay in countries for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, up to 120 days, some places up to a year without citizenship, without a long-term residency permit. Then, if you decide you want to stay in a country, you can apply for a residency permit. It is getting harder, but it's not impossible, right? So at the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference for South Africa, we've partnered with the premier immigration consultancy called IBN Immigration. They are going to walk you through the biggest mistakes that people make when filing them and how to mitigate all risks in getting approved for long-term visas and residency permits here in South Africa. You can Google them. They've got 5 stars. There's no such thing as IBN scam. They have extensive experience in dealing with South Africa Home Affairs and related authorities, and they give tailored advice based on your specific needs. So I've recommended over a dozen people to them, and they're going to be joining us live. And for people that purchase the premium access pass, they're going to get to ask questions one-on-one, which is over a $500 value. Okay, so IBN, they're going to go through this, and there are business visas, there are work visas, there are permanent study visas, there are retirement and relative visas, and they recently issued a brand new visa that allows people to work remotely for their business and live in South Africa for up to 3 years with that permit, and it's renewable. Right? So these things are available and they are not hard to do. Does it take time? Yes. Does it take money? Yes. Does it take patience? Absolutely. But the reality is, I've actually mitigated most of that time, most of that money for you by creating the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference. This is something that I wish I had when I was making the move, because honey, I spent so much money and years trying to work through this and figure this out. But this is not hard. It is totally doable, and you can get it done, and you can fast track your success by joining us at the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference. The next thing that a lot of people feel concerned about is that they're going to be isolated, right? They're not going to know anybody. You've built your entire life in your hometown, or you move somewhere after college, or you move somewhere for a job. And if you've never left your hometown, it may be a bit of a challenge. But I know people that have never left their hometown, and the first place they moved was South Africa, and they love it and they have a ball here. Community is waiting for you, right? And in fact, you will be able to join a community of people instantly before you even get here by attending the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference. People that work with me one-on-one, I share all of these expat communities of women moving abroad, communities of men moving abroad, communities of families, right? Here in South Africa, I have relationships professionally, working remotely from at WeWork and going to the gym. I mean, if you desire anything, right, it's about what you put into it. And so community is the same thing. There are hundreds of African Americans here. There are thousands of Americans here in South Africa. And every time I travel and meet people, I see Americans, right? Americans are coming here. Americans have been here. As I mentioned, over 600 American companies are based in South Africa, and they bring their staff and their team from the US. So you will not be alone. You will be in community of like-minded people who are just looking to have and experience a better life outside of the US. And I honestly don't know anybody who regretted it. Right? There are some people that return home, and I'm not saying this is easy, right? I am not saying this is easy, and I'm not saying this life is for everyone. But if you have been desiring to live outside of the US, this is your opportunity to do it, right? You have a support network, a support team, someone who has laid out the red carpet for you. And you don't have to take my word for it. If you head to AfricaInvestorsAcademy.com, you can see the reviews of people that have joined our events in the past and the value that they've gotten from our events in the past, right? So if it hasn't been feeling like home for you and you want to do it, do it. A bonus is you can always return. The flights come back and forth, right? Which is why I do stress traveling here for a discovery trip first, right? So we'll have the Real South Africa, which is a tourism company, an African-American couple that moved to South Africa over 5 years ago, had been traveling here for over a decade, and decided that they wanted to create memorable experiences for African Americans, specifically to explore South Africa in its truest, most beautiful, luxurious form, right? And so these are the people that you're going to connect with when you attend the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference, right? So you're going to schedule your discovery trip. You're going to connect with the immigration team to help you file your paperwork. And then you're going to sit and talk with my business partner, Yulinda Labisi Cousins of Skyline Attorney Realtors. And she's going to tell you all of the ways, if you desire to acquire investment real estate, set up your business, you can do that with a level of ease. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the game, right? I am giving it to you on a silver platter. And I'm excited because I always get to learn something too. So these are some of the things, the misconceptions that I wanted to share. You will join a community immediately before you even get here by joining us at the Travel, Move, Do Business virtual conference. You're going to connect with the best in immigration consulting at IBN Immigration. You are going to be exposed to some of the best healthcare in the world here in South Africa. And you're going to see some of the most beautifully developed buildings, roads, landscapes. I mean, just beautiful. South Africa is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and it is an honor to be able to do this work and promote this country in the way that I do, because 10 years ago, this country was on my vision board, and I had no idea that I would be living here 10 years later, sharing the opportunities that exist in this beautiful country in the way that I do. This is not just a conference. This is a service of work and a passion that I have been able to step into, and in sharing this with everyone that I can, because listen, I know what it's like to feel stuck and to feel like I'm not getting ahead no matter what I do, no matter how many degrees I get, no matter how many certifications I get, no matter how much money I make. The bills just don't stop. I've been here, I've been there, and it's just not fun. Living in fear, having to hover over my children, it's just not the life that you deserve. And when you decide, that's it. That's all you have to do. So, and how do you say? Ikenedo pole sanadada. How do you register? The link is in my description or in my bio, or you can DM me South Africa, and I can send you the link directly for you to register and join us. Tickets are selling out fast. We're 4 days away from the Travel Move Do Business Virtual Conference, and I don't want you to miss out. So make sure you get your tickets. Let me know if you have any questions. I know a couple of you wanted to join the live earlier on. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. But if you want to join, I'm happy to have you come on and join. Let me go back. How much do I pay per month on a US equivalent? So I have a video here. These filters just like do weird things. I'm like, what is happening? There's a filter on my face. Did I touch something? So I have a video where I talk about how much I do spend per month, my cost of living. And that is here on my feed. I also have it on my YouTube channel. I used to spend about $10,000 a month as a family of 4, right? 3 and then 4, my daughter. My bills are under $3,500 a month. And I live in a very desirable neighborhood. My children go to private school. One of my daughters is in boarding school. I have full-time help, home help, internet, cell phone, This is also including a gym membership, personal trainer, fresh fruits and vegetables. I don't drive. I have, Uber Black everywhere. So, yeah. That breakdown is over on my YouTube channel, my cost of living. And then I think I have another post that is a bit controversial, but it's here as well. Right? Lee Drake's 5 kids and your budget is $5K a month. Cape Town can be more expensive than Joburg. It depends on where you live. Yeah, so 5 kids, I mean, you're doing good, sis. You're doing good. 5K a month. But 5K a month here, that's like, you can live very well. I don't know what's going on with these filter, but it is blowing me. You're very welcome. Where do you register? Yes, so the link is in my description, my bio, or you can DM me the word SA and get the link sent directly to you, okay? Or the word South Africa, the letters SA. Nakupenda Malkia Mrembo Wangu. You love me, queen, you're beautiful queen. You don't know me, no limitless. But I do know a little Swahili, right? Asante kaka. Any other questions? Oh, that's right. What job do I have? I do not have a job. I'm an entrepreneur, And I recommend entrepreneurship if you would like to successfully make the move and stay. All right? Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining the live. Listen. So be sure to sign up and register before we sell out. Can't wait to see you this weekend, November 16th and the 17th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you there. You will not regret it. Until the next time, guys. I'll see you soon.